After last night, we should understand that there is no taking it easy. There's no laxing policies. There's no making sure that we think that conservative movement is growing, because it's actually not. Last night was a blue wave. We'll discuss what the implications of that are. We elected a lot of Muslims last night. That's not good for our country. It doesn't represent us. Also, what about homelessness? We're going to talk about where homelessness is the most and how it is a absolute money laundering scheme. The average American who is homeless, and those states that claim homelessness, like California and Hawaii, who have the biggest homeless populations, they're making almost $1 million per homeless person that they just get to profit on. See, that's what we don't realize, how much of a money laundering scheme we're actually in America, and how we should get very hopeless when it comes to how we're getting led. It has nothing to do with this administration. It has everything to do with big government in our lives. And then lastly, we're going to talk about how what last night proved is we're just one election away from losing everything. One election away from losing everything. People went overwhelmingly in support of bad players that does not represent America or freedom. So I'm going to tell you 5 things that I think you should buy this week. I bought this week. I think that you should buy. Even as someone who stockpiles like crazy, I bought 5 things this week, and I think you need to do the same. Let's dive into these stories today. Hey guys, welcome to our channel. Thank you so very much for being here. We are humbled by your support each and every day. Now, let's jump into the stories of the day, because last night was humbling and sad for a lot of the Republicans. But we've been talking about this for weeks now, how the Republicans are so worried about fighting each other that they missed out on actually the races that were important. Last night, Virginia AG, the guy threatened to literally harm his children. It got leaked, and then nothing was done about it. New Jersey, Virginia, again, never Trumpers. We wanted them to win on the Republican side, but both of them were more center-of-the-road Republicans. They both lost those elections. So now we have a governor in Virginia is going to be Democrat, and of course, New Jersey keeps on being the same. New Jersey's always been. But, they thought there was real hope there. I think we just need to rub off some of these states, really. Virginia, lieutenant governor, Muslim. I mean, this is going to be a big deal. Mayor of New York overwhelmingly said one, Muslim, communist Muslim. Again, why are we allowing these things to take place? While the Republicans were so worried about cutting each other down, we lost races last night. Now, what this proves is without Trump's name on the ballot, people are not winning. The Republicans are not winning. So what this shows is Trump has got to get his party in line. If we do not get some of these things done by 2026, we could give it up. I'm going to blow your mind when I say this. Along with us talking about the AG race in Virginia, 25% of Americans, 1/4 of America believes that political violence is okay, and they believe that that is justified. Now, that means 75% of America is not safe. That means the Republican base, the Republicans, independents, and the middle-of-the-road establishment Democrats are not safe living in America. So that 25% impacted last night and represented a very communistic, socialistic, very leftist ideology that enjoys the threats, enjoys the political violence, and they won the race. 75% are not safe. I want to go to this article right quick, and then we're going to move on. It says, 1/4 of Americans now believe political violence is justified. This is from Jonathan Turley. It says, we have seen the rise of rhetoric and political violence, especially, of course, even after Charlie Kirk. But it says that a new poll come out and said that 75% of Americans are at risk because 25% of Americans are completely justified when it says that they believe political violence is the answer. It says this is coming alongside young voters, not conservative young voters, but young voters that tend to lean liberal or leftist. It says young Americans are most supportive of political violence. The poll shows that 1 in 3 Americans under 45, so 33%, which means that's even a bigger number, that is political violent. And they believe that that is the norm for the future. So how safe are we when 1/4 of America wants to harm the other 3/4 of America? The guy that won AG last night for Virginia literally threatened the other opponent's kids. And we think that's okay? Look, the headline for a race in Montana says that the Montana race was rattled with such rage rhetoric that people were threatening that they wanted them to die. Where have we lost our way? I told my wife early this morning that I think what last night proved was we are just one race away from failure. What if all of a sudden AOC or Mamdani runs for president? Did you see the overwhelming support from Democrats to him? Are we ready for that? The same guy who says you can't have private land, the same guy who says that you can't have right to bear arms, the same guy who says that we need to tone down social media presence, especially people like Elon Musk, those are the same. This is the guy who just overwhelmingly won the mayor race. You know, every person that runs for mayor in the city of New York ends up being a bigger political person as they grow. They're not going to let him fail. Democrats are not going to let him fail because he is going to be the next Obama for the Democratic Party, the rising star. Man never had a job, and now he is literally the leader of New York City. And here's the thing. You hear about millions of people, they're going to leave New York City. Those same millions of people, instead of leaving and saying, look, we messed it up, we need to look for better places, they'll bring their crazy leftist ideologies to other places. Listen, this is, again, talking about Virginia. It says, Virginia, you outdid yourself. And this guy's making basically a laugh at him. He said they elected a foreign-born guy as their new lieutenant governor. That's her speaking Arabic beneath a banner declaring, he has named you Muslims. See, here's what we don't realize. We're destroying our own country. We are. I blame the Republicans way more than I blame the Democrats because Republicans tend to not be so stupid and foolish, and they understand that what's happening is happening, and they still allow this to happen because this morning, guess what they're doing? They're still infighting and blaming each other for the races that were blown. Blaming each other that it's their fault instead of saying, why don't we work together and flip and get some people elected that are on the right? See, the biggest problem is that when we lost Charlie, we lost the coalition. We lost someone who got the get out the vote movement and kept everybody pretty much in order, in line. And now it's like mass chaos. I mean, if you're not careful, this same movement will spread like a virus across America. I mean, 75% of Americans are not safe because the other 25% wants them dead. Who good is going to run for office? Who honestly is a good person going to run for office and deal with the problems that people like Pete Hegseth or RFK or Trump or Elon Musk dealt with? The amount of level of scrutiny and stress and threats they received on their life. This is what scares me. This is what scares me. Now, before we talk about the homeless rates and before we talk about the things I bought because of how crazy things are, again, we cannot close our eyes to the dangers of it. A word from today's sponsor, Chapter. Now, Chapter has been with me for about 8 to 10 months. We're in open enrollment, and this time is more valuable than ever when it comes to making sure that you're not getting auto-renewed or put into a plan or supplement that is not right for you. If you're 65 and older or about to be and you have questions about your coverage, please reach out to this number below. Chapter is literally saving the average American $1,100. The person who calls this number usually saves $1,100. Now say you save only $600 or $700. So you save $1,400. Either way, if you can save some money, especially in this volatile economy, look at yesterday. The markets died. I mean, they were crashing yesterday. The importance is to save money and make sure you're on the right plan. Chapter is no cost to you. Their goal is to work to advise you to make sure that you have the right plan. Check with them today. Make sure that you are covered and that you have the right plan and know you have a peace of mind and know that you're not just wasting money like so many Americans are. Check with Chapter today. You'll be glad that you did. I'll go to this next story, and this is the story dealing with homelessness. It says, Hawaii has the highest homelessness along with California, D.C., New York, Oregon, Vermont. Now, again, that's all Democrat states, right? Among the lowest, of course, is Mississippi, which is ours, but also several other conservative states. It's Louisiana, Virginia, Iowa, South Carolina, Wisconsin, Wyoming, Alabama, Texas. Now, Virginia is no longer a right-leaning state anymore. It's completely fallen off the cliff. But from the majority, it says that Most homeless rates for the first top 10 to 15 is all liberal states. Again, for the bottom, it tends to be all conservative states. Now, why does that matter? Listen to this study. It says there are 772,000 homeless Americans, nearly 230 for every 100,000 Americans in America. Meaning we're seeing more homelessness and more people getting on the streets than ever before. Now, Elon Musk had a great point about homelessness. He said people that are down their luck in their homelessness for, they don't have a home, they're going through a bad time. He said that's one thing. He said, but what we've done now, especially in the liberal areas, he said it's become a money-hungry grab. He said because what we're doing is not making a homelessness and getting them better, getting them help. He said mostly we're doing drug-infested camps. He said those drug-infested camps are getting NGOs to be able to be funded to then say they're quote-unquote helping the homelessness. He said, and truthfully, they're not helping them. He said they'll put 20% of their NGO budget towards feeding them, but 80% goes to administrative and all the other stuff that they do. He said a lot of it is a complete and utter money grab. He said right now, California is getting almost $1 million per homeless person. $1 million per homeless person that they pretty much pocket. So he said if without illegal immigrants and without homelessness in states like Illinois, New York, D.C., California, and Hawaii, he said they actually could not make it because they depend on all that government funds coming in to quote-unquote take compassion for the people living on the streets. So our homelessness problem is getting worse. And he said it's not homelessness like they're down on their luck or lost their job. He said most of these people couldn't go back and get a job tomorrow. He said because it's a drug problem. He said so if we don't solve the drug problem, we're not going to solve the homelessness problem. And then we're not going to solve the problem where they're fully dependent on the government. He said and then what you're going to see is if you base this many people and say $1 million per person that's going for the homeless problem, he said that's going to be a problem that you can't pay for. The entitlement spending won't be able to cover even the homelessness problem because of all the other things that we've tied to it. He said, and then if we're seeing more and more and more people get on the government dole, he said, therefore, you're going to see them more dependent. And he said, you're going to see more people fall into poverty and homelessness because there's no leadership at the top to try to make it better. He said, California does not need them off the streets. He said, that's what you don't realize. He said, we talk about, well, we need homelessness off the streets. Gavin Newsom does not need them off the streets because he makes money off those people being there. And he said, it's not about them, taking care of them. He said, we talk about that. It's compassionate. We want empathy for them or sympathy for them. He said, but that's not what it is. He said, there's just a small, minuscule budget going towards food banks and things like that to help those people. He said, most of it's going back to administrative cost and the cost of running government. He said, that's how they're beating the system. See, that's what we don't realize. Our government is too big. Elon Musk broke another story on Joe Rogan I thought was just unbelievable. He said, the appropriations, all the money that the Senate and Congress appropriate to go all this spending, he said, no one's allocating for that spending and where it's going. He said, now Doge did. He said, but you should have heard the kickback, not only from Democrats, but from Republicans. He said, because all this money that we're flowing all over the country, instead of it going back to working class Americans, he said it's going to bigger government contracts and people are getting filthy rich off of it. And while everything's going up, more homelessness is happening, more debts are taking place. And look at yesterday. The market fell out. Crypto fell out. Things are not looking up. The left won handily on racists who want to give more spending to government and make government even bigger. And people voted for that. That's why it's scary. That's why I tell you that you better keep on preparing. Yesterday, I want to show you this. And I usually don't walk you around on this one. I'm not doing a vlog today, but I want to show you this. Last night, if you notice, I have a table in here. Last night, I processed another one of our hogs. This is our cool room if you haven't seen it. Why do I keep doing this? Why do I work tirelessly to milk a cow at 4 o'clock in the morning, to literally harvest my own animals, to literally growing all this food when I could just go buy it at Walmart? I mean, I make money, so why does it work? Why is that a big deal? Because what took place last night? Because the dangers of the Republicans hurting themselves, and we're just one vote away, one election away from losing everything that we have worked so hard for when it comes to conservatism and freedom. Now, this is 5 things I bought this week just because the more you see people like Mamdani, Fatah, the guy AG, Spanberger, all these people start winning, the more your rights will be taken away and the more your money will be taken away, because they've already said they're going to raise taxes. Every one of these Democrat platforms wanted to raise taxes. Every one of these Democrat platforms had a suppression for your freedoms as conservatives. So this is what I did. Number one, I paid off all debts this week. I had one little business debt that was still left, paid it off, finished it up this week. So I didn't buy anything when it came to that, but I did pay off debts. Now, you may not can pay off debts, but you better get a budget plan and make sure you're putting some money up, because that's what I'm doing right now. I'm stockpiling what I was using for any kind of payments or just randomness. So I'm stockpiling cash at the same time I am paying off debts. I'm not investing in crypto. I'm not investing in some new cool stock, because all those things will die. Like yesterday, look at the market. It fell out. So I'm making sure I'm putting my money in things that matter. Number two, what are one of those things that matters? Second Amendment. I bought 2 Second Amendments yesterday, if you get what I'm saying. 2 of them. One was a semi, and one was something I wanted that I carry. So you tell me why I did that? Because I don't trust the leadership, because I believe, like New York City, like Mamdani, like the people in Virginia, like these other races that were overwhelmingly won by left, that they will take our rights away. Because with a population who cannot defend itself is a population that can be controlled. So number 2, I bought 2 Second Amendment rights along with the brass that went in them, if you get what I'm saying. Number 3, I didn't buy the pig, I harvested the hog. But here's what I did do. I was able to trade and barter with someone else, and we're working out a deal where they're going to do some work for us while I give a pig. So what did I do? I started making better relationships when it came to between me and my community. I started building the relationships that can benefit us. So, we're working on Aiden's house right now. And you know that we're always doing little projects around the house. Well, part of that is, instead of paying this gentleman, he's going to get a hog. So my other hog that I typically would process by year end will be going to him as in trade and barter for someone else. So number 3, I built relationships. Now, Colby, you said something about buying. Well, here's what I'm saying. It had nothing to do with buying or spending money. It had to do with building something that can benefit us long term. Skilled labor and skilled in certain facets. Like I'm skilled in growing and making sure these hogs are raising. I'm great at growing food. However, I suck at fixing a car. However, I can't understand construction to a point where it's really good. Now, I can build something, but I don't know if it's really good. So I've learned to build relationships this week and start building that community different. Even down to some relationships at church and co-ops this week. I did. Number 4, you know what else I did? I started putting more food up. Now, for you, that may look like buying MREs. For you, that may be buying freeze-dried foods. This week, what I did is I started harvesting a little bit more of my food and learning how to preserve it even better. So a lot of our greens, things that I typically can't keep, I freeze-dried. A lot of the fruits that we were pulling off the tree, instead of just eating them, we started preserving them more. So I learned to take that to the next level. So I put up more food this week. So it may not be you growing your food, but it may be actually buying some food and putting it on the shelf. A little bag of rice, a little thing of tuna, a little thing of beans. And if you buy that weekly, it's going to make a huge difference. Do not miss out on that. Food is key. And number 5, what I did this week is I bought more alternative energy. Now, I'm literally sitting, I'm going to show you my stool. Is Opus setup of a solar generator. Now, I didn't buy this one this week. I already had this one, but I bought another solar alternative generator and more solar panels along with a new lithium battery. Why did I do that? Because I want some form of alternative energy. When I have all these freezers, I have all these coolers, I have all these ways to keep my meat from going bad. If something happened to the power, for a long time, I need to start barbecuing and cooking a lot of food. So, I need to get these freezers done. But until then, I have generators, I have propane, I have alternative sources like solar. I want to make sure that I am prepared. So number 5, I bought an alternative energy source this week. I bought from Opus. You don't have to buy from Opus. You can buy from whoever you want to. But I think we have to realize that the next step is very crucial. What if all of a sudden in 2026 we lose the Congress? We lose the House. I mean, look, California voted on their proposition, which basically allows them to gerrymander more. So what if all of a sudden we lose the House because the House hadn't done anything? Trump's been in presidency for, what, 9 or 10 months? We've have no rest. Things are not really getting better. I don't blame that on Trump, but I do blame it on the Congress. So if the Congress cannot do their job, and actually, we're going through a shutdown and still spending loads of money. Nothing is getting done. No money is getting cut like it should. And the Republicans are just kind of holding it up instead of actually arresting people, bringing people to justice, and actually making sure that policies are changed. They're not doing any of that. They're just kicking the can down the road like most of the time. So what if all of a sudden we lose the race in 26? What if all of a sudden that the people that say political violence is okay and they start rising up from 25 to 33 to 45 to 50%? The trend is moving up, by the way. It says that it moved up 20 to 30% over the last generation. So if all of a sudden we have 25% believe in political violence, of the 45 and below, 33%, what if all of a sudden that number just keeps on going up? How safe are we in America? How safe are we when every one of these people winning these elections they're wanting not only just democratic policies, they're truly wanting open borders, more Muslim rule, more communistic style, socialistic style government. And they won overwhelmingly last night. That should depress you dramatically. Actually, I actually lose hope a lot of times in America. Now, I don't lose hope in Christ. I'm a Christian. So I believe that God is always going to take care of his people. However, I believe we make hard beds that we have to sleep in sometimes. We cause our own problems. And the Republicans were to blame last night. They didn't work together. They worked to destroy each other, while the leftists, communists, socialists won. And that's why I bought these things this week. Guys, please pay attention. Do not put your head in the sand. Things are not, quote unquote, getting better. Everybody tells you that, and I'm thinking, where? I mean, gas prices went down, yeah, but everything else is not. The government's still shut down. They're spending more money than they ever have, and they're still not giving you a reprieve on your taxes. Unemployment's still up, and Congress is doing absolutely nothing. Trump and his administration cannot do it without the Congress and without the DOJ arresting and without the persecution from the Justice Department. We have every aspect of conservatism supposedly between the Congress, the Senate, the Supreme Court, and Trump, and we still have yet to actually do anything with it. Either 2026 is going to prove to be a great year for conservatives to actually get some things done, or it's going to be the demise of the conservative movement. If we do not do anything, and mark my words, bookmark this, if Trump goes out as quote-unquote a lame duck president and nothing gets done before Congress switches out or before he's out of office, mark my word, we will never have another conservative Republican or a populist Republican or a libertarian Republican, someone who supports the freedom of America, ever again elected. Because we did nothing with it, and we squandered it, and all the right can do is fight and complain about each other. Heartbreaking. That's why it comes down to you taking care of your family, buying the things you need, have the things you need, prepare, and get ready for crazy times. Guys, thank you so much for watching. We appreciate it. Go check out Chapter today. Again, a great company to help you, especially if you're older. God bless.